Rage in the dark.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Shot in the Dark. I'm your host, John Siino Evil here. Let's get right down to it. AEW Dark Elevation starts with Leyla Hirsch and Ryo Mizunami teaming up to take on the team of Diamante and X-Tina K. Hirsch gets the pin on K after a running knee strike. FTR, with a record of 24-3, ranked number 1 in the tag team division, defeated the team of Toa Leona and Mike Reed. Leona is this big Samoan wrestler. He's making his debut here. Really impressive looking. The entire time on commentary, Mark Henry and Paul White were very behind him. And this is Mike Reed's first match in AEW since May of 2020. Dax Harwood gets the pin on Reed after FTR hits the big rig. Emi Sakura, with a record of 7-2, defeated Reka Tahaka with a record of 0-10 after an elbow off the second rope. 10, with a record of 29-4, defeated QT Marshall, who has a record of 23-7. At one point, QT gets hit right in the eye by 10, and immediately it turned black and it swelled up. It looked pretty gruesome looking. Dark Order comes out to fight off the factory ringside, and 10 wins with the full Nelson. And the last match was Paul White with a record of 2-0, coming off a commentary here to defeat the team of Arjun Singh, Carly Bravo, and Cole Carter on a 3-on-1 handicap match here. Total destruction with Paul White pinning Carter after a big right hand. AEW Dark from Tuesday. This is back at the Universal Dark Studios. We start with Bobby Fish making his Dark debut with a record of 2-2, defeated Invictus Cash with a record of 0-2 after a roundhouse kick. Quick match. Tony Schiavone gets in the ring after the match and asks Fish about his match upcoming on Dynamite against CM Punk. And Fish says that Punk is allegedly the best in the world, but they're going to find out on Dynamite who really is. Rio, with a record of 5-2, defeated X-Tina K, who has a record of 0-1 with a double knee strike. Sammy Guevara comes out to cut a promo on Ethan Page and says that he always complains and Page has to die in order to take the title from him. This prompts Ethan Page to come out and he starts mentioning all the things he's done before and says that he's been ready to kill since the day he stepped foot in AEW and says that he'll become TNT champion. As he's talking, this distracts Sammy Guevara because Scorpio Sky comes from behind him and attacks him, and Page joins in and they start making him bleed a little bit until Santana and Ortiz come out for the save. Eddie Kingston, with a record of 27-7, defeated Jack Evans with a record of 18-42 by submission with a chokehold. Jack Evans sporting his brand new haircut that he got after his match with Orange Cassidy. Dante Martin, with a record of 17-7, defeated JDX after a double jump moonsault. After the match, Leo Rush does an interview where he speaks for Dante, saying that they're going to beat the Seidel brothers on Rampage. And Martin has to do this because it's what's good for him. But the entire time, Dante Martin didn't seem too thrilled about being part of this team with Leo Rush. Tony Schiavone introduced Adam Cole in the ring. Adam Cole comes out and he cuts a promo on Jungle Boy and says what the Elite did to him this past week was nothing, and you ain't seen nothing yet. We go backstage, Tony Schiavone running around like crazy here. He's backstage with Jade Cargill and Smart Mark Sterling, where they pretty much list all the people that she's beat and why she's earned the bye in the TBS Championship Tournament. And again, she says that this is that bitch show. Tiger Huas, the former Adrian Jaoud or Arturo Huas from NXT, fresh off of Bloodsport, comes into this match 1-0, defeating the debuting DJ Brown, who he literally beat in seconds. As the bell rang, he kicks him right in the head to start and end the match. And then after the match, Huas gets in the mic and tells Mr. Tony Khan, to give him more competition. Diamante defeated Skylar Moore very quickly with the body scissors chokehold. Shivani's backstage with Tony Nese, free agent Tony Nese, who was sitting front row on AEW last week. He says that AEW is the hottest professional wrestling company in the world, and it's the perfect place for the hottest free agent to sign. He says that half the roster here doesn't belong in the same ring as him, so next week he's going to start by taking out Fuego del Sol. 10 defeated Shane Stetson in seconds after a full Nelson. The debut of the new tag team, Too Fast Too Fuego, defeated the team of Dean Alexander and Kid Bandit. Too Fast Too Fuego is Fuego del Sol and the Son of Fuego, or Fuego 1 and Fuego 2. Now, Son of Fuego, he has a dream tattoo on his nest, as well as a Nightmare Family tattoo on his neck. So it looks a little bit like Cody Rhodes. Not 100% convinced, but definitely looks like him. Fuego del Sol gets the pin on Alexander after a tornado DDT. In the main event, Bryan Danielson, with a record of 4-0-1, defeated Aaron Solo with a record of 12-19. This is Bryan Danielson's debut on AEW Dark, and a very good match here, almost 10 minutes. Camarado and QT Marshall try to get involved and help Solo, but Danielson comes back and wins with the label lock. NXT UK starts with Aleah James defeated Xia Brookside after a sunset flip. This is Aleah James' first win in NXT UK. After the match, she tried to shake Xia's hand, but she gets smacked it away as Xia continues her frustrated storyline. Michael Satomura quickly says that she is ready for Ginny. We also get a video from Kenny Williams where he says that he could defeat anybody, and the NXT UK roster is filled with insecure little boys, and we'll find out how low the scum of the earth will go. Dave Mastiff and Jack Starz defeated Primate and T-Bone of Symbiosis by disqualification after Eddie Dennis on the outside started attacking Starz with a chair. As they all started brawling, Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith come out to fight off Symbiosis, and then Pretty Deadly on commentary was checking out all these teams. We get a quick segment from a male saying that she's back from her injury and she's returning next week. And we also get Charlie Dempsey, who's being interviewed backstage, and said that he's happy with how it's going so far and he's looking forward to see what the rest of the roster has to offer. But Gallus rudely interrupts him, and then they get into a brawl with Tioman and Rohan Raja, who are backstage at the gym as well. We get another episode of Supernova Sessions with Noam Dar and Shaw Samuels, who's his sidekick here. And today's guest is Tyler Bate. He comes out with Trent Seven, and Noam Dar says that Seven wasn't invited. And then Dar says to save the embarrassment for next week, and he just might as well give him the Heritage Cup instead of going through with the match. Bate says that every time he faces Dar, it's the same result, and that Tyler Bate wins every single time. So this results in all four of these guys getting into a scuffle. In the main event, Jordan Devlin defeated Joe Coffey after the Devlin side. Coffey stole Devlin's jacket before the match and wears it to the ring, which causes Devlin to attack him during the entrance. And the rest of Gallus was banned ringside for this match. We go to a special EmPowerrred episode of NWA Powerrr, which means all women wrestlers, starting with Chelsea Green, Kylie Rae, and Melina in a number one contenders triple threat match for the NWA Women's World Title, with Melina pinning Chelsea Green after a roll-up. Camille was asked prior to her match what's going on with Nick Aldis and Tom Latimer, and she dodged the question, and she goes on to defeat Tootie Lynn after a spear in a non-title match, but Lynn would have gotten a title shot if she would have gotten the win over Camille. Lady Frost defeated Sky Blue after a roll-up of her own in a Mildred Burke rules match where there is no closed fist, no over the top, and no offense off the top rope. Kratos came out for an interview, pretty much trying to hijack the EmPowerrred show, which upset the end, specifically Perro, who comes out to pretty much stop him from talking. We have the NWA Women's Tag Team Championship as the Hex, Allison Kay and Marty Bell defeated the team of Jennacide and Paola Blaze after Allison Kay pins Blaze after the Hex marks the spot. And the main event, Mickie James defeated Kiera Hogan, with Mickie rolling up Kiera after Kiera tried to go for the Mickie DDT. On 205 Live, we have Amari Miller and Valentina Feroz defeated Katrina Cortez and Yulissa Leon making her debut in WWE. Nigel mentions that Leon is the first ever Mexican-born WWE superstar. And she looked really impressive in her first match, but Amari Miller does get the pin on Leon after a cravat to the knee. Duke Hudson, also making his 205 Live debut, defeated Malik Blade after a hard faceplant-like move. He literally just took his face and shoved it to the ground really hard. And the main event, Zion Quinn defeated Jeet Rama after a jumping forearm. New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, another Autumn Attack show. We have Ryusuke Taguchi, Ren Narita, Alex Coughlin, Kevin Knight, and the DKC defeated David Finlay, Fred Yehai, Will Utah, Will Allday, and Brogan Finlay. Will Allday is making his debut, as well as Brogan Finlay, who is the younger brother of David Finlay, as well as the son of Fit Finlay. Ren Narita makes Brogan submit after a Boston Crab. Robbie Eagles and Chris Dickinson defeated El Phantasmo and Chris Bay of the Bullet Club, with Robbie Eagles making Bay submit to a leg lock. After the match, Eagles was trying to cut a promo backstage, but Will Ospreay kind of awkwardly interrupts him and said it was nice to see him. Will Ospreay and a mystery partner defeated Carl Fredericks and Clark Connors. The mystery partner ended up being the newest member of the United Empire, TJP. TJP rolls up Connors after he went into the exposed turnbuckle that Ospreay had set up to get the pin, and United Empire kept attacking them after the match until the LA Dojo came off to fight them off. In the main event, in a Texas Bull Rope match, Juice Robinson defeated Hikuleo by referee stoppage when Juice wraps the ropes around the face of Hikuleo to choke him out. Ring of Honor. We'll speak about Ring of Honor in a second, but this episode was called Violence vs. Pure. So it was members of the Violence Unlimited against members of the Foundation. So we had Tony Deppen defeated Rhett Titus after Homicide distracts the referee and Deppen used a chair. Brody King and Chris Dickinson defeated Jonathan Gresham and Tracy Williams, with Dickinson making Williams pass out. And Jay Lethal defeated Homicide in the main event after Dutch comes out, Dutch from Vincent's stable, to take out Tony Deppen, who was trying to come out and help Homicide. And after the match, Vincent came out with the rest of his group to clap for Jay Lethal. About Ring of Honor, so you might have heard already, there has been some news about a couple things. Basically, that they're going to have one last show in December for the Final Battle pay-per-view, and then they're going to take a hiatus and possibly come back in April. On top of that, it looks like the entire roster of Ring of Honor has been released immediately, but they are still under contract technically to the end of the month. The details are still kind of scarce, but the one thing I did get out of it was that their talent could wrestle elsewhere immediately. This kind of coincides with the Briscoe brothers recently winning the GCW tag team titles. Jonathan Gresham obviously has been appearing elsewhere, as well as a bunch of other wrestlers like Brody King. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously a crazy situation. I don't want to speak too much about it because, like I said, details are a little scarce. But if what I've heard so far is true, with talent being able to wrestle elsewhere ASAP, that makes some interesting situations. You have obviously AEW out there, WWE, NWA, MLW, Impact Wrestling. There's a lot of options for a lot of these talents and a lot of good talents. I personally would love to see Jonathan Gresham against Bryan Danielson somewhere, even in New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Strong is another option as well. Danhausen I could see in AEW. A lot of people. Roxy, who just became the women's champion there in Ring of Honor, I could definitely see her in any of these women's divisions. But so stay tuned to that. Obviously, I'm going to still cover Ring of Honor as they do weekly episodes. I know they did say eventually they're going to start showing like archive footage. That's probably the point where I won't cover it anymore. But as long as it's new content on a weekly basis for their TV show, I will definitely cover it. So stay tuned for more information on that. I'm sure postwrestling.com will keep everybody updated on that situation. On WWE main event this week, we have Drew Gulak defeated Akira Tozawa, and Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo defeated John Morrison and Ricochet, with Garza pinning Morrison. The WWE Network editions of the week, we have another episode of ICW Fight Club, WXW's Inner Circle, and they also added 6 episodes of WWE Old School shows from Madison Square Garden from 1984. That is it for me this week. You guys can catch me here next week for another episode of Shot in the Dark.